Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another podcast episode. I have not done a sit down podcast episode in forever, and honestly, ever since I started Teatime with Nae PODCAST, I've never done an actual video, and I've always dreamed of having my own set, my own cozy space where I can actually do full on podcasts. The Lord works in mysterious ways, and I will continue to keep planting those seeds. And Lord willing, in the future, He will give me the desires of my heart. I have full faith, and I will continue to trust that. So yeah, I think honestly, it's been a good year, over a good year since I've done a podcast like this. And it is also November 1st, so it is one of my favorite months of the year. No, not just because my birthday is coming up, and no, not just because it's Friendsgiving, but just because it gives you, like, November is that month where you start to realize, wow, this year is almost over, but then you start to calm down a bit because you're like, okay, well, it's not December quite yet. I still have time. So it's a bittersweet month for me, as per usual, because the whole entire year I look forward to my birthday, and then it just comes and goes so quickly. I'm just very excited. So, yeah, my birthday is my most favorite holiday of the year. It's like we all have our own personalized New Year's. Like, how much better could that get? I know that I used to always start my podcast out with, "What tea are you sipping on?" Today, you guys, I've been just manning it with the water today. I have not eaten a single piece of real food today, and it is 12:11. But thankfully, before I started filming this podcast, I decided to prep my soup already. I'm still getting over a cold. The worst has passed, but I still feel a tad bit of congestion, some crap in my throat that will not come up. Just, yeah. So I'm making myself a soup so that way after I'm done filming this podcast, I can go ahead and enjoy that. It's just been such a struggle for me recently, actually making the time to meal prep and to eat just in general. So I'm like, Naomi, you're gonna go on a soup and water diet. So for this coming week, I plan on eating the majority of my meals when I do eat is just gonna be soup. It's gonna be clear, like chicken, bone broth, and just vegetables, because that's what I believe my body needs right now, and I just have to listen to my body. Also, before I actually start getting into the nitty gritty of this podcast, I want to just do one apology. One apology, because today, I don't know what's going on outside. It is just super windy. It's a nice day, don't get me wrong, but it's just super windy. It's been like the clouds have been rolling by super fast, so if the lighting starts to change or whatever, I apologize for that in advance. I'll put it back over here. So, I knew that I wanted to do a sit-down video for me to upload for the beginning of November. I just didn't know what it was, and I was kind of waiting on God to just give me inspiration like how He normally does to help me figure out what to say. And I just happened to be scrolling through my camera roll, as per usual. That's where I get a lot of my inspiration from, believe it or not. And I saw a screenshot that I took, and it was someone who commented on one of my videos a while ago, and she was asking me for advice on friendship. And I kind of sat in my chair and I was like, this is exactly why I don't rush anything. I just wait on God, because I'm just happy just how everything just kind of just like developed beautifully into that. And so I just sat in my chair and I was like, okay, I'm gonna do a video on friendship. Of course, as per usual, I am not an expert in anything. I'm not even an expert in being myself, because I'm still trying to figure out who that is half the time. I'm just being honest. But I have learned a lot along the way. And that is what I would love to share with everyone. So this video is dedicated to all the girlies, all the sisters out there who are still waiting for their genuine friends. Mine took years. There is a fine line with just checking in on someone, seeing how they're doing, just, performing all of the acts of brotherly and sisterly love, like how we're supposed to be doing. But then there's that other side where it's like, okay, but I need my friends. Like, I need people who know me inside and out, or at least close to it. I need people who would and will go out of their way to help me in my time of need. I need people who are going to pray for me and fast with me if they're able to, and if they have the love and the care and the joy in their heart to do so. Like, it's just all of those things that you don't find in everybody. And that's why we should never be too quick to call someone a friend in the first place. So this is what I am dedicating my podcast episode for today. It's going to be friendship. And this is also kind of what inspired me to create this little drapery effect in the background. So if you're just listening to it, then I apologize. You can't see what I'm talking about. But this morning, I kind of just took some of my headscarves. Like, these are headscarves behind me, y'all. I took some of my headscarves and I just started hanging them up on my wall. So you can still see kind of on certain areas of the walls my vines underneath and my posters underneath and all that underneath still, which is fine. I'm not trying to hide it. But I was like, I kind of want to blend colors this morning. And I used my scarves to do it. And then I just took my two vines and I swooped them up top. It was kind of like I didn't overthink it too much. I just did it. I don't understand why I did it because I've never done this before. But yeah, I'm hanging my head wrap scarves on my wall for today's video. And I think it was because the minute that I realized I wanted to do a friendship video, I'm like, I want to blend colors. And I think the whole mentality of blending colors kind of had me thinking on friends, and friends are not the same. We're all different. We're all unique, but we can be in unison and in unity together, and we can, create a bigger picture, a bigger family. And that's kind of what inspired today's wall art. It's not the usual background, and that's okay. The first advice that I would give to anyone who is looking for friends is pray about it. Make your requests known unto God. And I'm saying this because that's what I did. That's what I had to do. And I know to some people, especially if you don't believe in God and you're watching this, or if you're not the religious type and you're not the prayer type, so it might sound weird that I'm saying to pray for your friends. But for me, if I'm praying to God that I want a new car or a new house to live in or a new job or increased finances or whatever it is that I'm praying to God for Him to give me the desires of my heart, friends was on my list when I was in middle school. Friends were on my list 100% middle school and high school. And I'm like, okay, well, why not pray about it? It's no different than anything else. And I started praying for friends because when we started getting really serious into holiness, I started realizing that a lot of the people that I talked to in school, they're just classmates at the end of the day. Just because you can talk to someone, just because you can joke it up with someone now and again, does not mean you are friends. Yes, it can be seen as being friendly and respectful and kind and caring. Those are all things that I agree with. However, friends, we got to get deep into that. We have to get deeper into that because friends consist of a lot more. And this is actually a good point to bring up, is who and what do you consider to be a friend? That's, I think, where it needs to start, because I think a lot of us have different definitions of what a friend, like a real friend, can be. And I'm not going to share everything for me personally of what I consider, or who or what I consider to be a friend, because that's all of our personal opinions and our personal beliefs. But I would say the main ones for me, if you're my friend, I can 100% be myself around you and I do not feel judged. I would say that's one of my main ones because I am a handful and I do some of the most craziest, weirdest, goofiest things ever. And if I can do that in front of you and all you do is look at me unfazed because you're so used to it, or you laugh with me, or you match my energy and you continue to joke around with me, we have a relationship there. And that's just for starters, because a lot of the things can be surface level, but a lot of the other things are underneath the surface. Like, if I'm going through, are you actually going to sit down and listen to what I'm saying? And then after that, are you going to check up on me later on to see, hey, Nae, like, I know we talked, da da da, how are things? How is everything going? I had you on my mind, da 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 da. Or also, even in the negative retrospect, if I am just fuming about something and my reaction isn't the greatest and my attitude isn't the greatest either towards the people that are around me at that time, well, are you my friend enough to be honest with me, to put me in my place? Because that is one of the things that I completely desire in a friend, is honesty. That is something that, like, I need to be able to trust you. I need to be able to trust your words. I need to be able to trust your actions. And I need to be able to trust that when the time comes, you'll be honest. Like, if there's something wrong, if I have food on my face, like, are you going to tell me? Are you going to tell me? And, like, I get there are some people who are just good at that in general. Yo, you got something. Yeah. But I mean, like, it's a list of things in my mind that make my friends to the fact that I call them my friends, right? And they've come, the people who are like and I honestly, at this point, I don't even call my friends. I call them my bros and my sisters. So it can be a little confusing, especially in holiness. We're like, oh yeah, hey sis. But sometimes, or most of the time, we use that in a casual sense, especially if you don't know somebody's name, like, excuse me, sis, da da da, right? But then we have that middle ground area. We're like, oh yeah, like, hey friend, how's it going? What's up? Da 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 da. That's cool too. But then time has tested your relationships to the point where now you forget that you're not even blood related. You forget that once upon a time, you guys used to pass each other in the hall or pass each other outside and not say a word. And now you guys are like this. You're super close. Those are the relationships that I aspire to maintain, because I do have a lot of those relationships now. And I'm truly grateful to God for that. So going back, ooh, the wind, it is winding out there. Oh my Lord. So going back to praying for my friends, I started realizing that, yeah, I talk to people at school, but after school and when school is over, I'm coming back home and I'm doing my chores and I'm doing homework and I'm doing all these things, none of which include talking to an actual buddy. I didn't have a buddy, you guys. And yeah, it felt a little lonely, not too lonely because I had my sisters, so it's not like I grew up like an only child, like as an only child. I had a house filled with friends, my sister friends. I wanted to start creating those really special bonds with people. I just didn't know how or where to start. And on top of that, I was very shy, and I'm going to say shy for this time of my life because I was shy. Like, I was insecure, and when insecurity hits you, you tend to just be very shy, very close off. You're not talkative that much. You struggle with, like, getting out there and talking to people and so on and so forth. So in that time of my life, I was just it was hard for me to talk to people. And it's different from now because I can talk to a person, I can go up to someone and have a conversation. Especially as a business owner, you kind of just have to be able to hold a conversation with someone. And for the most part, I can say that I can do that. It can be a little challenging to come up with, like, conversations if you're just trying to get to know someone. For me personally, if they're not giving me enough meat to keep loading the taco with, it's kind of hard for me to keep building the conversation. But yeah, that point in my life, I was very shy. I was very quiet. And I'm like, God, you gotta help me because I want my friends, friends that will stick with me through thick and thin, friends who have my back, I have their back. And it took over the course of a few years. I don't know how to say the time span because honestly, I truthfully, I truthfully don't remember. But I was in high school, and then from there on out, I had met a few people, and some people stayed pretty much like basic acquaintances and things like that. And then a few beautiful people I had actually started to grow more and more closer to as the years progressed. And that I would say is what started me on my journey of actually being able to enjoy having friends. The only problem with that, and I hate saying the problem because it's a blessing, you know what I mean? But the struggle with me finally having friends is they're all long distance. Like none of and I'm saying that for the years before because now I do have friends who are closer. Praise be to God. But in that time I was like, yes, God, like thank you. Like I finally feel like I'm getting my friend group now, and I'm getting girls and ladies that I can confide in, that I can go to, like, hey, do I have something behind me, or like can you check me real quick, or just things like that. Like you have your actual girlfriends and you can talk about anything with them and they will keep your secrets. They will keep what you say to them in confidence, even if you don't even have to say don't tell anybody. It's just a given. Like if they're talking to you privately, it's a given. Yeah. What is said between you and me, girl, you don't even have to say it twice. Like I'm not gonna run my mouth. And it's that understanding that I enjoy and I appreciate so much. So if all my girlfriends out there who are watching this, you know who you are. I definitely love you guys and I appreciate you guys. Because your friends, you also want to make sure your friends are inspiring you and motivating you to do better. If you're around people and at first you love their energy, you love their personalities and things like that, but then over a course of time you understand that keeping company with them is actually doing you more harm than good, then unfortunately, yes, I would say you need to let go of that. God will bring you the right people. God will definitely bring you the right people. I know that this isn't a podcast that I dedicated for relationships, in that retrospect, but like I know how oftentimes us girls are often reminded that we don't go searching for a man who finds a wife finds a good thing type of situation. I understand that, but like you kind of had to have that mindset too for friends. I would say not that you can just sit back and do nothing. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is, even if you are craving a relationship with a man, I'm going to use this because it's like the easiest way that I can explain the example that I'm trying to blossom. Even if you want to grow a relationship with a man so bad, all you can do is wait. Like at this point, too many things are out of your control. All you can do is wait. And while you're waiting, all you can do is pray. So that's the example that I'm trying to bring just for friendships is when you feel like everything you're doing isn't working, when you feel like no matter how hard you try, people who you meet, they don't seem to be clicking with you. They don't seem to be, actually forming those deep, deep, deep bonds and roots within each other. I would say just take it up into prayer. Just take it up into prayer. Give it to God. Like literally leave your burdens there. Leave whatever is burdening you. Leave it there and God will handle the rest. And I am a witness that he definitely does come through. Sometimes in the most majestic and most beautiful ways. If my bros are watching this, if you guys are still watching this podcast this far, which honestly I don't think any of them would, except for maybe Archie. But Archie, if you're watching this, much love, and to all the other bros too. And I'm smiling because I grew up in a household filled with girls, as I just recently mentioned. So there's 5 of us girls, plus my mom, plus my dad. And I'm second oldest, so I've always wanted an older brother. Like, that was something that I always daydreamed about, fantasized about. Like, I always wished that I had an older brother. I want an older brother, da 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 da. And, like, over time, especially this year, I've seen it come to fruition a lot. The big brothers that God has blessed me with in my life. Some of the brothers I talk to occasionally when I do see them, especially in person, and things don't change. The vibes are always the same, and I appreciate that so much. And then there are my other bros who I get to see, Lord willing, as God permits, either sometimes throughout the week and or especially on Sundays for church. And I really do, I never want to take time with them for granted ever, because I know at any given point God can take that away. And I'm really appreciative of them. Like, when you start to realize, like, there are people out there who will really, like, I was sick when I lost my voice. I had bros go into the store for me, getting me Listerine, getting me cough drops, and you gotta drink tea, and da 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 da. And then when I go out to eat, like, oh, I got that Nae or whatever, and just, like, paying for my food now and again, and just, like, my car guys, like, help me, da 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 da. And then they're, like, pulling up the hood, and they have all the system things going on trying to help me with my car. Or, like, Neil, when is the last time you washed your car? You need to wash your car. Like, just even basic surface level conversations and comments like that, I appreciate. And the feeling, because I'm a very hyper independent person, so the feeling of when I know I can truly depend on somebody, that's a whole different feeling. It's a whole entire different feeling. And I'm just so grateful to God that He has blessed me. Like, He has blessed me. And I'm super thankful. I'm super thankful. And that is one of the reasons, like I said before, prayer. Because sometimes you might think that you want A, B, C, D, but in reality, God knows that while you're asking for A, B, C, and D, He knows that what you really need is X, Y, Z, right? So I oftentimes just be praying to God too, like, God, I don't even know what I want right now. And I'm just, like, I'll just be transparent with God about that. I'll be like, God, like, I know that I want such and such, but as far as, like, the finer details go, you gotta handle that. Because I think that I know what I want, but I really don't know what I want right now. And those things could change. My priorities could change. And I just need you to handle it. And I leave it to God. So that's just something just to always keep in mind. One basic thing that I would say, though, is try to always say hello. Always say hello, say hey, say hi. And this is something that I need to actually work on more, because even though, like I already said, I do have a nice set of friends, why not build more friendships? Like, there's always a scenario where you can be building another friendship somewhere, somehow. And there was a time in my life when I got lazy, guys. There's a time in my life when I was like, I prayed for friends, God bless me with friends, the end. No, sis. Like, just because He answered a prayer for you then does not mean that now you stop trying to make friends. Or, like, if someone says hi, like, you say hi, but then you're not interested in, like, carrying out a conversation. And I noticed that about myself specifically, and I was like, whoa, we gotta work on this, Nae, because, one day you could lose a close friend of yours. And what do you have to fall back on? I'm not saying to make friends just for backup, like extra friends for backup. That's not what I'm saying. But it's just so nice to be able to continue to meet more people. When I went to Europe for the first time this year, guys, and I went to Berlin, by the way, that was such an amazing and beautiful experience. But when I went to Berlin this year, I had the opportunity to meet a lot of cool people. And I will call this one person out just because I appreciate them so much. Coco, if you're watching this, much love. But, like, I don't think that, like, sometimes I think I get in my head too much, and I see myself as someone who, again, does not want to talk as much as she should, and I can be very like introverted. And I was talking to Coco, and he was like, like, yeah, like I used to be like that way too, but then I had to pray to God to help me with such and such, and now, I have no problem talking to, anybody that I meet or whatever. And he's just always been a person who seemed so easy to talk to. And we're also both artists, so we're always like sending each other our art and things like that, which is why I'm saying, like, it's very important to go out there and make friends. Like, don't look at someone and think like, yeah, like that's a cool brother or that's a cool sister, but I don't think we would vibe. Like, I don't really think so. Like, who are you to think that? So go out there and get yourself some friends. I would also say something that helps a lot is to participate in group events. I know specifically for Holiness we do have a few events throughout the year, like conventions and things like that, youth events, youth seminars, meet and greets, things of that nature, where you're actually able to meet other people. But then again, what do you do if you're shy? What do you do if you're just uncomfortable? What do you do if your social battery is dead? It is low. And sometimes that is another blessing, I would say, especially from the bros. I don't know, for some reason I am more inspired to talk to people because of the amount of times I've hung out with my brothers, and they'll talk to anyone and anything. They will talk to an ant, all right? They will talk to a bird. That is how sociable these people are, and that's what I need in my life. That's what I need in my life. So if you notice a weakness about yourself and you see that as a strength in somebody else, you need to observe. You need to stick with that. Like, you need to hang around those people. And I'm so for real, because just like how we know that evil things, sinful things, judgmental things, resentful things, like if we notice those traits in people, we know that it's probably a good idea to keep our distance. But how many times have we been told, when you notice a good thing in someone, stick around them? And that is one thing that I'm just, again, so grateful to God for, because I see a certain strength in each and every one of my friends, sisters and brothers. And I'll take that, and sometimes I'll just be sitting back and observing. I'm just like, how do they do that? Like, that is just so beautiful, so cool. They make it seem so effortless at times, to do this and that and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, God, you gotta help me. Please help me. But it's a wonderful thing to have friends who are strong in things that you're weak in, because you have an example, like a real life example of how you can improve, with God's help, of course. So going back to my suggestion on like events, and it doesn't just have to be church related things. It could be like relax and paint sessions, or some kind of like book event, or spoken word, or anything that's within your hobbies. Like if you're into taking art classes, go to an art class, go to an art seminar, and you'll be able to meet new people from there. Or if you're into music, what can you be doing in your music that would help you meet friends, meet new people, things like that. So those are all ways that you can, again, put yourself out there. Like, I'm not saying go and try hard and try and be everyone's friend. Like, no, we're not meant to be everyone's friend. Everyone on this earth is not meant to know how many birthmarks you have on your body. Like, there's just like, I don't know, like this mindset I feel like certain people have, where just like, the more friends I have, the better. But for me personally, having a small, close-knit circle is what I need for my stability. And no, I want to shut this down now. It is not the cliquey type at all. And that was proof is in what I just said a few minutes before about how my friends are so social. Like, yes, we're close, and we'll have, like, I'll be able to take one of them to the side or whatever, or even if we're in a group setting with all of us, and we'll be talking about like relationships, and like, what if this happens, what if that happens, like just wonderful topics. We'll talk about all of those things. But then again, at the same time, those same people will be able to have conversations with people who they know as well, and or they've just met for the first time, and I've been able to witness that myself. So yeah, it's really, really, really beneficial to get the best of both worlds. If you're a woman, a young girly watching this, I just want to shut it down for you right now. If you have the mentality of, I want to be friends with boys, I want my girlfriends, like, I just want to be friends with girls or my sisters or whatever, you need to cut that in the butt now. You need to, and vice versa. Like, if there's a guy watching this, and you got to this point, I'm calling you out right now. If you know that whenever it comes to talking or engaging with people, all you want to do is talk to the brothers, all you want to do is talk to the guys, you need to flip that. Because I'm telling you, and I'm grateful that I never really had that mindset. I like I said before, I've had the best of both worlds, and I have my bros, and I'm able to see a whole different perspective of the world, and then I have my girls, and I'm able to see a whole different perspective on that. But when I'm able to compare both, I'm like, see, this is why I need the balance. I need the balance of the girlies, but I also need the balance of the not so extreme hormonal drama and attitudes and all this stuff. Like, when I'm with the bros, for the most part, everyone is so chill. Everyone is, even when bad things happen, okay, don't worry about it. We'll just have faith in God. Like, just stuff like that I'm just like, huh? What? And they just have a different mindset in general. But then they also get on my nerves sometimes, because I also find myself around the guys having to repeat myself several times. And guys, they have a horrible habit of asking you a question and then also talking over you, or like asking you a question and then you're in the middle of answering that question, and then they interrupt you with another question before you finish the first one. And then with the girls, I noticed, for me personally, that it's the opposite clearly. Like, when we're having a conversation, for the most part, we really don't interrupt each other. We'll take turns actually talking and having everyone get through what they want to get through, like in our discussions and our conversations. And then also when we're planning things and we're doing things, or if someone says something, we don't have to repeat ourselves several times. So I've noticed strengths and weaknesses in both, like having girlfriends and guy friends, and it's actually pretty interesting to like see that dynamic, how like females and males, how different our mindsets are when it comes to certain things. It's crazy. It is crazy, but it's also very interesting. So alright, I'm gonna stop nerding out now. Remember just in general also that good things take time. Good things take time, sis. Just like this washout. Just like this wash and go, guys. Yesterday, it was wash day, so I had to wash my hair. And then I just straight on just like put my oils and my gel in it to just do some defined curls. I haven't done a wash and go in forever. But even though it's November now, the weather has just been so beautiful as of lately that why am I going to put my curls back into twists? Like, no, I want my curls out for like at least a few more days. So, but like I said, yes, good things take time. It's still air drying. It's been drying since last night. And it's still not all the way dry yet. So, just like a wash and go, remember, all things take time. No, you do not need to try and speed up the process with no hair dryer, because at the end of the day, that hair dryer is going to create frizz, and you're not going to get the definition that you want. Just like a friendship, if you try and be going out and doing all these extra things, or trying to rush the process, or you finally met someone who you think you can actually get closer with over time, let time tell. Let time do the work for you. Do not go ahead and just start trying to rush into things. Start telling these people your deepest, darkest secrets. Start telling these people all about your business, that they know your social security card number. Like, take your time. Do not rush it, because just like how, like, I'm a firm believer, you do reap what you sow. And I know a lot of times people use that in a negative retrospect. You reap what you sow when you're doing something that you're not supposed to be doing, or that's not the best, right? But what about you reap what you sow when you're sowing the right things? When you're sowing the beautiful things? When you're sowing the caring things, the kindful things? What about those things? And I'm a firm believer that you will reap what you sow. And so if you want friends and you're doing all that you can do, just wait. Be patient. Do not rush it. Continue to be kind. Continue to be generous. Continue to be yourself. I can't relate to ever feeling like I needed to change myself to hang out with people. Like, people have always accepted me for who I was. And that says a lot. People have always accepted me for who I was, and if there was somebody who didn't accept me for who I was, then clearly they weren't my friends, right? Like, we didn't click, we didn't bond, right? But when there's those people who, with your flaws and all, they accept you for who you are no matter what, and they they just are used to all of your special quirks, your obnoxious laugh maybe, or your horrible habit of burping out loud, or just things like that. Like, when they're used to all of those things and they love you for those things, that is beautiful. That is absolutely beautiful. And again, you never want to take it for granted. You never want to take it for granted. While you're waiting for friends, I would definitely urge everyone to recognize your weaknesses. Recognize your weaknesses now. If you're in a waiting season for anything, I'm a business owner. I'm an artist. I'm a graphic designer, an illustrator, all of those wonderful things. And when I was waiting in my process to start my business, I couldn't understand like why I had to wait. And when I was in college, that's when college opened up a whole new door of illustrating for me and digital art for me. And then after all of that had come and happened, then I stood there and I was like, okay, now I understand why God had me wait, because that ended up being the foundation that I built my business on. It was graphic design. It was illustration. It was digital art, digital portraits, all of those things. And if I had started my business 2 years earlier, I'm not sure the foundation would have stood the test of time. But to this day, the main income that I make from my business is graphic design. And it's using all those skills that I learned in college. And it's so really just heartwarming when I think back on that, because going into terms with friendships, if you're in your waiting season, it's for a reason. So there might be something about you, and I'm not saying this is for everyone, but I'm saying there might be just something in your life that needs to play out first. There might be something that you need to prune about yourself, that maybe you need to recognize about yourself before you get involved with other people. And this could be for good or for bad, right? Like, I believe that we've all had toxic traits in our lives. Like, can't nobody tell me I've never had a toxic trait in my whole entire life. Like, really? Like, we all have our flaws. Like, there are times when some of us might have been like, I'll speak on myself. I have no problem speaking on myself. But for years, I struggled with just passiveness. And even when I was going through things, if I was irritated, I was upset, I was mad, and people would ask me what was wrong. My sisters would ask me what was wrong, and I would just be in silence. Like, it was like I could not talk. I could not talk at all. I would just be silent. They would be asking me what was wrong. And I'm so happy that I've grown out of that. Oh my Lord. I'm so happy I've grown out of that. And that I'm not like that anymore, because that's not good. Not good at all. And you have to be your own judge of character, right? Like, you have to be the one to say and to realize, okay, what is it about myself that might need some improvement? Clearly, it's not going to happen right away, and you can't expect yourself to be perfect for a relationship, right? Like, relationships help us to grow. So I'm not saying that you're waiting because you need to be perfect before friends come along or a special person comes along for you. That's not what I'm saying. But I am saying that if you are waiting, it is for a reason. And soon enough, you will figure out what those reasons are in anything in life, in anything at all. And I would say also, as this podcast starts to come to a close, I would say My strongest advice, as I've said before, of course, to pray about it. And then, of course, to be patient and to wait. But at the end of the day, observe. Let observation be your guide. Your guide, not your God. Because God, again, has the last and final say. But I'm saying let observation be your guide. Because oftentimes we don't really take the time to get to know someone. How does that person act behind closed doors? How does that person act when someone that they might not like finally left the room? Are they going to talk smack about that person, or are they mature enough, to keep their comments, even though it might be hard, to themselves? Like instances like that need to be observed. Take time to observe a person. And I never used to think this, because I always just assumed that I was invisible. And I think that's why it was so easy for me to be myself, is because I didn't have the mindset of like, oh, I'm constantly being watched, right? Like I always thought like I'm constantly not being watched, right? Nobody's looking at me, nobody's noticing me, so I'm good. I'm chilling, right? So when you think nobody is watching, trust me, there is always someone watching. There's always someone watching, and even if there's no human being watching at the moment, God is always watching. So character comes into play, personality comes into play. And I've seen a lot of this just in general for me personally, going back into work. The less that I worked, the less stressed I was. The less that I went into work, the less crap that I had to hear from my coworkers about like how this isn't right and how this is crap and how this and da 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 da. And then you start hearing yourself complaining about stuff, and at first I have to take a step back and be like, what? Like, no, like, I don't have the same problems as you. I don't have beef with this person. I don't have a problem with that or whatever. And it's just, again, who you communicate with, who you hang out with, you have to observe, like, is there somebody in my life that is causing a negative side of me to come out, to be dwelled on? You have to be really, truly honest with yourself in all of these things. And yeah, just observe. Like if you mess up and say for example, you're getting to know someone and you mess up, you make a mistake, you say something or you did something that you shouldn't have done, but you're extremely sorry. And you apologize. And of course, apologies mean nothing without the action to follow through with it to prove that you actually are sorry. Yes, but is that person forgiving? Is that person going to bring it up 10 years down the line because they're still not over it? Or is that person going to show you love regardless and forgive you and help you to move on, and they'll move on as well? Like, these are all things that we need to really, really take into consideration. I think a lot of people also think that in a good relationship, you don't argue. You know how many times I've argued with my friends, my girls and the bros. Like, there will be times when you will get on their nerves, and there will be times when they get on your nerves. But at the end of the day, your love for them, your respect for them has got to be stronger. If it's not stronger, then are you really friends? And I leave you with that. So, I have no idea how long this podcast will be once I'm done editing it. However, I think this is a pretty decent length for today, being as though I'm still getting over my cold. And also, I gotta get back into my groove of podcasting, right? I gotta get back into the groove of it. So, I really do hope that there was something said to help anyone who watched this, who needed this as inspiration or guidance or encouragement, to help you along the way. I know good things don't come easy. Good things will never come easy. And good things take patience. Good things definitely take patience. So, with that being said, keep all of those things in your mind. Keep all of those things in remembrance. And I'm actually really happy I did this podcast, because even I was calling myself out on things that I still struggle with. And that's okay. We're all human, right? And what would this podcast be if I wasn't calling myself out on something? on something. I'm always calling myself out on something. But that's good, right? You know? That means I'm honest with myself, and that's a strong strength to have. A wonderful strength to have. But anyways, I hope that whatever time you're watching this video, morning, noon, or night, I hope you have an amazing rest of the day. I hope that you spend some time out in the sun. I hope that you spend some time out talking to God. Spend some time eating the foods that you should be eating and staying away from the processed foods and sugary foods that make us feel drained and not ourselves. And I'm again calling myself out because that has been me for the past 2-3 weeks. But besides that, yeah, everything will happen in due time. Everything will happen in due time. You just gotta trust God. Trust God, wait, be patient, and let the flower bloom. Sow it, and then reap what you sow in due time. Flowers, they don't grow overnight. So why would your friendship, right? I also did want to just shout out real quick, because I have no idea when I will actually be uploading this video, but this sweater that I am wearing today is an Nae original sweater, and it says still on the potter's wheel, because yes, it's kind of like a pun almost. It's spiritually and artistically wise. I'm always on the potter's wheel. I love working with clay, and even when I'm not working with clay, I just love art in general. So I'm always doing something with art, but also just on the potter's wheel. Like we're constantly learning, we're constantly growing from our Creator as He continues to mold us and shape us into who He wants me to be, right? So this is my personal reminder that even though you mess up, Nae, don't worry. God eventually with time is going to get those kinks out. Yes, He will. But yeah, I don't know if or when I will actually have the sweaters that I've been working on, when I'll have them launched on my website. I am working on that, but I'm a perfectionist, as you guys know, so if I don't have the perfect photos for it, I'm not launching it until I do. So, like I said, all good things come to those who wait, but this is just one of the sweaters that I have just been loving as of recently. So, yeah, definitely stay tuned for that. I don't know also if I will have any merch listed down below, but if I do, definitely check that out as well. Check out my website. I do have some older podcast videos on just a plethora of different topics. So with everything else, I will leave those for you all in the description box below. Links will be included to everything. And like I said, enjoy the day. Tomorrow's never promised. Never take the people in your life for granted. And I will hopefully, Lord willing, see you guys in my next podcast. Alright. Bye. I need to but do we see the definition though? Guys, come on. Do we see the definition? Yes, we do. See the definition. Alright, bye.